What is up, everybody?
Wait,
Welcome
hold on.
back to another episode. I will strangle you.
Yeah.
You will
I'm
die.
three.
You will
I'm
die.
3 for
Another
3.
episode of I Will Strangle You. That's a.
I'm 3
I
for 3
didn't
tonight.
understand. I completely. I'm on the
You'll
wrong
both die.
podcast.
You're
I'm not
both
supposed
going
to
to
be
die.
here.
I'll kill you both.
He's got such a mad face. Don't
Nick is
stop
here
it.
like, let's get to business, and Evan and I are immediately like, let's fuck this up for Nick.
I've been recording
Yeah,
since 6 p.m.
And I have fucked up 3 out of 3 intros right now. I've got such a great KD.
It's good stuff. It's funny. It's funny.
Yeah,
Welcome
that's
back
what I'm
to another
saying.
episode of the WASD and Beyond podcast. I'm your host, Nick. Accompanying me this week is Matt and Evan. Full stack house tonight. Fucking phenomenal. All of us are here. WASD is back. We're stronger than ever. This podcast is proudly
Were we
sponsored
ever
by...
weak?
Are you trying me tonight, motherfucker? I will fuck you for dominance. Dude. I swear. We are proudly sponsored by Doc Longy, which I'm wearing the Mad Villain shirt, which you can't get anymore, but always be on the lookout because he's dropping awesome things, usually long sleeves. This is one of the rare short sleeves he's done. Don't interrupt, Evan. I'll kill you. Support Doc Longy. We are also sponsored by the beautiful people over at Final Boss Clothing. I swear, you guys will die on this show. We're all drinking. I live really close to you, Matt. Okay,
Like a 25-minute drive. I got Home Alone time to prepare. Okay,
I got a musket.
I got
He's
traps.
loading a musket. Anyways,
man.
so support Final Boss. They got so many cool merch, like so many cool merch designs. You guys have seriously fucked me so hard on this episode. We're not restarting.
Did you want anything? Hold on. Did you really want anything different? This is
This is
the
WASD.
core of
Yeah.
the show. This is what makes us great. Is that you try to be super serial,
people think we're
and we
annoying.
fuck it up.
Hate us.
Fun,
People think I'm a fat
fun,
idiot with the tattoo on my face.
Fun fact, Doc. When you listen to this,
You're not fat.
Nick changed the shirt so he could appear as if it was recording at a different time, so he wasn't wearing the same shirt for 2 episodes. But I'm wearing the same shirt for 2 episodes, and it's literally 10 minutes after the previous episode.
And
So
every
he changed it just
episode-
for you.
The first episode, I was wearing a Doom t-shirt. Second, I was wearing my Manhunt t-shirt.
Now you're
Third,
wearing Mad Villain.
I'm wearing a Mad Villain. So yes, Final Boss, Doc Longy, proud sponsors of this show, and we are proud to call them our sponsors.
Are we going to have in your next 2 before you get to your 5 episodes recorded? Are you going to wear a Dune t-shirt? Because if you don't, you're really not a true fan.
I don't have a Dune t-shirt.
That
Well,
sucks.
why
I mean,
aren't you
honestly,
playing
I
the
feel like-
Dune board game that I got you in the background?
myself?
Why are you not
But-
in the middle of a campaign right now?
By myself.
Not a true fan. Not a true fan.
I'm not Steven
I got
Blanford.
Dark Souls in my kitchen table right now. I got
You're not
I
playing
got a
it.
single player. Yeah, I stopped it for this because apparently I deem this more important.
You did not start a single player campaign on Dark Souls.
No, I opened it up so I could though. Soon.
Oh,
Oh, see, there's the commitment. Did you even unbox your Dune board game? Probably not.
no.
Oh, look at that shit.
I'm waiting.
A lot of other things
I'm
that you
waiting
haven't
to play with
started
people.
that I've asked that people
my
have asked you
God.
to start, like
I
the
don't
West
care.
Wing.
Also I
my
wanna
God,
I
what
wanna
is
point out
happening right now?
I want to point out,
My hell.
this is we get our 10 minutes of bullshit before we get into the topic. Okay,
That's true.
Leave us
That's
be.
true.
I know.
I hope that you were aware that like I'm not going to change my shirt for every episode like from now on. So like people are just gonna look at it and be like, this guy's been wearing the same Carhartt long sleeve for four weeks now. He just wears it every day. That's his only shirt.
I am also a whore for our sponsors, and I have my entire wardrobe at this point is Doc Longy and Final Boss.
Oh, I have so much Final Boss stuff now. It's incredible. I love it.
It's fucking
I need to pick up my
insane.
stuff.
Yeah,
It's super
Evan's-
nice.
You both got Star
But-
Wars shit at my house.
All of my stuff has been short sleeves, and it's always freezing in my house.
Your Rogue
so
One
I'm still
shirt is
sticking
here.
with. What does that have to? What?
Your Final Boss Rogue One t-shirt is here.
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with what I was just saying.
What are you trying to say?
That I'm wearing long sleeves because it's cold
Okay, I have a
instead
long
of
sleeve
wearing the t-shirts that I've gotten from Final Boss. That's the point I was trying to make. And then you're like, yeah, your Star Wars stuff is here. Yes, Nick, what does that have to do with anything?
What happened?
Tell me.
What happened?
What happened?
What happened?
What happened?
Anyways,
Batman's a great movie. Go see it. Not the topic of tonight. But,
Real quick,
dude.
I
Nick's
know
head
that this does not in any way, shape, or form relate to this podcast, but I'm gonna fuck it up anyway. So let's go. On Hulu, I've been seeing a lot of the same ad. It is for a dick straightening pill. It is for people with PD. So essentially, when you have like a bent boner, apparently that's like a buildup of scar tissue. I have seen this commercial so many fucking times, and let me tell you, one of the side effects too, it literally like it
straightening.
It literally like it degrades the scar tissue that is causing it to like bend in whatever.
That from circumcision?
No, it's literally just like
it's a
random
disease.
buildup of scar tissue.
It can be a random. It's called Peyronie's disease.
Yes, or PD for sure instead of ED. PD, but essentially, the pill helps you.
Fake doctor.
Helps your dick straighten out and be less bent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the side effects is that it may cause erectile fracture when you have an erection.
So
I'm sorry, let me repeat myself. You can fracture your dick from getting a boner on this medicine. I'm sorry, I'm never touching that ever. I'm gonna what?
Wait a minute. Do you need to take the medicine, Matt?
No, I don't know why it's not. I am straight as an arrow. I mean, I got a little bit of a left, but like, I'm fine. I don't need this medicine. I don't know why I'm getting advertisements for it, but I have literally gotten it every single day that I've watched Hulu in the last 2 weeks.
Baldo seems to be making a big comeback right now too.
Dude, you need to chill with this shit.
Trying to get sponsors.
You need to relax.
You know what the Baldo
you need to relax.
is. Matt.
Yes, I do know what the Baldo is, and we still have to do our what was it? We had like a tournament. We were supposed to have a tournament, and then the winner got the Baldo.
Yeah, we got to figure that out. There's some logistics we got to fucking. Now there's an entire network where it's us, Build Pros, and Tiggity, plus our server. So it's like there's a lot of.
We can have like 30 people in this tournament of whatever for the Baldo winner.
I know, dude.
Just saying.
I'm trying to get Baldo. The thing with Baldo is I don't care about the sexual nature of it. I just want to try it on.
Just for laughs.
Yeah, so I look down and be like, now my balls are my dick.
Like here's imagine having Peyronie's disease in a Baldo, and your erection bends the opposite way of the Baldo.
It's like it's a straight vertical.
It's like the Baldo goes like down and your dick goes up, and then that is just a whole lot of. You don't even need the medicine. That's where your dick fracture comes from.
So yeah, like I said, thank you for sponsoring us, Doc Longy and Final Boss. Now saying Doc Longy after we're talking about penis problems. Sorry, Doc. He's gonna hear this. He listens to the show, so Doc's gonna listen. He's gonna be like, "The fuck are wrong with these Yanks?" There's like an inside joke we got. There's an inside joke him and I got where we call everything like big.
That's cute.
Big Yank energy. So like that's funny.
Baldo would be.
Oh yeah, see? Yeah, good stuff.
Baldo would be big Yank energy.
Yeah, dude. So, anyways, we're talking about penises now.
Aren't you gonna ask what we've been up to for this past week? Because you didn't ask for last episode.
It's fucking Tuesday. Fine, Evan. Let's start with you.
That's the nature of the show. You ask what we've been up to, what we've been playing, what we've been doing.
You were the worst interviewee.
Yeah, I know, man.
As David
interviewee,
Craddock,
that's me.
Interviewer, sorry, interviewer.
There you go.
David Craddock had a good time on the show.
Give him shit, not me. Wait till the end of the episode.
I was a lot more professional with him, though, than I am with
I would hope so.
Well, thank you, Nick, for asking what I've been up to.
Yeah, Evan, what have you been
week.
up to?
I've been up to nothing, really. What have you been up to?
Are you fucking me?
No,
Matt, what have you been up to?
I've been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 again. I started playing the story again, much to my dismay, because I'm at a part where the story changes. You go to Tahiti, not Tahiti. You go to like Cuba. You go, it's like takes a whole left turn and you go to a whole other spot. So like I'm kind of avoiding going to the next story mission and trying to just kind of experience the world again.
Okay.
So I've been playing a little bit of that, playing Metro Exodus again. That's been a lot
Nice.
of fun. Spotify just paused my music because I talked for longer than 30 seconds. Damn it.
Are you listening to music right now?
Yeah, I listen to music usually when I record.
What the fuck?
That's
my
wild.
house. Yeah.
He goes, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mean you don't?
Yeah, like, well,
No,
I
I couldn't
understand
even-
why he doesn't.
We'll get into
I
it in a
understand
minute.
you're the host. Like, I get it. You have a bigger responsibility than I do. But I mean,
Yeah,
still, no, I listen to stuff.
Okay, keep going.
I hate.
But yeah, Metro Exodus, playing that again.
Matt, what? Timeout.
Oh,
Nothing, go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah.
What?
Oh no,
Go
did
ahead.
you have a joke to add? I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Technically, you're the host too.
Oh shit.
That's literally all I was gonna say. But
we're all three of us are the fucking hosts. God
Yes.
damn you all. Evan.
Playing some
Dumb.
Dishonored 2. Playing some Battlefield again recently. Just the story.
4042?
Or not just the story.
Oh, no. Okay,
No, that's just
You
been
said
uninstalled, dog.
story.
That's just been
It's
uninstalled,
been
my
gone.
guy. Yeah, that's been gone. Played a little bit of that, and then I was gonna say Tarkov, but I really haven't played a lot of that. I just kind of loaded it up just to see how it ran. I really haven't
I'm waiting for the
done
Osprey
anything crazy.
to enter the game.
Osprey?
Yeah.
Tarkov?
Yeah.
I have no idea about any of that. I'm
There's an
sorry.
I'm the
Osprey.
Tarkov guy, and I've never heard of this.
Yeah, there was like this thing they posted on Twitter. There was basically like a Telegram type thing where it's like Osprey inbound type shit.
You sent that. You posted that. Yeah,
So,
I remember. People translated it. Yeah.
Game's kind of broken, has problems. Runs great now. It's in a lot better. It's
It runs
doing better
really
than what
good.
it was last
It
year
runs
and the year
really good
prior.
now.
It's doing really good. This Osprey thing's got me fucked up though. I'm not playing until that thing's gone.
They're adding a lot of these like random events that they think they want to have that continue throughout the game's life cycle instead of it just being like a holiday thing, like the airdrops. Like that's probably going to be something that's kind of a bit more common
Kinda cool.
through the year. I like that. I liked that airdrop thing. I thought that was neat. I want to get back more into that, but I'm trying to break out of the gear fear cycle, which has been something that I've been dealing with, not just in Tarkov, but in other games. Like I played a lot of Counter-Strike recently with a different set of buddies that are playing it competitively and stuff like that. People in the regular Discord don't really play it competitively, which is totally understandable. But these guys like do it every night. That's all they play. So like I've been playing that, and I have this thing, and maybe people that listen, if they want to respond on Twitter or Instagram or whatever about it, can relate. I play CS and I'll load up during the day by myself, and I'll be like, yeah, like in the process of loading up, I'm like, yeah, I want to play competitive. I want to rank up and I want to do all that shit. And then I load up and I look at the competitive button and I see where it says go. And my head goes, you're going to play with fucking morons and they're not going to know what to do. You're probably going to play against a hacker, somebody who's played all day, and it's only 9 o'clock in the morning. So they've been playing all night. Like, you're going to play against these people that just know everything better than you. You're going to fucking suck. You're not going to win the game, and you're going to just derank. And then my brain goes, nah, dude, don't do it. Just play something else. Play a single player game. Well, I play like Overwatch. That's where it started. Overwatch was the catalyst for that, because I would get to Diamond, and then I'd be like, I've made it. And then a part of me wants to go, well, what if I can get to Masters? And then I'd start playing, and then I'd just lose like 5 games in a row, and I'd derank back down to like Platinum. And I'd be like, what the fuck? And it's like, that's the same now for like Tarkov, for CS, for any competitive game. Siege, I just can't play competitive games by myself. And I don't like, I have the same fear when I play it with you guys. Like if I play competitive Siege with you guys, or I play CSGO with them, or I just play Tarkov by myself, I have this thing where it's like, I don't want to play because I don't want to lose shit. I don't want to derank. I don't want to lose gear. And it's like, I'm trying to break out of that where it's like, I just play because I enjoy it, because I like playing and I like just enjoying the time. And I'm trying to get back into that. So like, that's been a real thing for me. And that's, I think, where like the single player games would come into, where it's like, I don't necessarily, I have these things to escape to if I don't like the game, right? If I have a bad couple of rounds, I can escape to these and I can turn my brain off and just kind of get involved in the world of Metro or whatever, which, God, such a beautiful game, such a fun game to play, but Jesus criminy, they need to really work. If they ever make another one, they need to work on lip syncing, because good Lord.
It's atrocious.
It's abysmal. It's not good. It is like, and I never noticed it until I started playing it again recently. And then I started like listening to them talk and watching their mouths. And I'm like, it's open and shut, but there's a whole lot going on with your mouth when you talk, man. Like,
You know what
it's
I
like,
have to
it
say to
does
that?
not look pretty.
I'm Russians, bro.
What the Nick? Matt, how's your week been? How's your week been? I'll take control.
Sorry. It's been pretty good. It's been
I'll be
pretty
on
good.
top
I've literally done 3 things the last like 2 to 3 weeks, and it has been working, playing with my new fucking dog,
How is
who's
he?
adorable, and I
Iro.
love him. His name is Iro. He's a
Beautiful
corgi.
dog. Beautiful dog.
I got him as a hookup. Like, I got him from the hookup of Nick and Perry. So once again, thank you so much, because I love him, even though he's kind of a little shit sometimes. He's incredible.
As corgis should be.
Yes. So yeah,
You're just sassy.
and then whenever I have the free time or any of that stuff, I've been playing Elden Ring when it fucking works.
Yeah,
when it
poor
works.
you, man. I feel really bad that you're dealing with the amount of issues that you have with that game.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
thankfully.
not experiencing any.
Yeah, and I mean it. Nobody else seems to have having these any technical issues. It has seemed to have just been me and I think our buddy Nick, his friend, is it Brandon? I don't remember. Jake. Yes,
yeah.
Jake. Jake and I are the only ones who are having issues. Everyone else, it's been running fucking super smooth for. So, I mean, shit happens. It is what it is, but it's definitely been stressful. I mean,
Yeah.
the first week and a half after it came out, I literally couldn't even get it to run. I couldn't even play. I think I got a whole like 5 hours worth of gameplay in before it finally started to improve. It's slowly been improving, and now for the most part, the only issues that I have is just co-op and just frame rate issues in multiple in certain areas. I'm sorry, I got something stuck in the back.
And we were just invaded by luscious Brody, Falls from the Diggity podcast. Woo! That's gonna look awesome. Love
Hey,
you,
yeah,
brother.
this is the 3v1 versus Brody. Let's go.
I forgot we were recording video, so my head, like on cam, I was like, and I was like, that's gonna be noticeable.
This episode's awesome. I don't care. It's funny as fuck.
It's been
so
chaotic
funny.
as hell.
Keep going.
So, but yeah, no, I mean that's really all that I've done lately. It's been work, playing with the dog, trying to help him get accustomed to the new environment, and whenever I have time, Elden Ring. I would have liked to have put more time into Elden Ring by now, compared to everybody else. I think I'm maybe at like 40 hours now, where
I'm at like 80.
you and Brody, you guys are at like 80. So, and that's not for a lack of trying. That was largely due to technical issues, and then once technical issues kind of started to get resolved, I got a dog. So
yeah, fuck it.
Right.
But yeah, it's been it's been a cool couple of weeks. It's been nice.
Very good.
And it's good to be back. I'm happy to be here again.
Yes.
Very
and
nice.
I would like to do it a little more, but we'll see. Sometimes I just go, fuck Nick, I don't want to do it.
You know what? That's fine because
A luxury I wish I had.
You want to fuck Nick?
No, not
Wait, what?
It's all wrong now.
Wait, okay, hold on. Do you want to fuck Nick, or do you want Nick to fuck you?
I want to be able to tell Nick fuck off when he asks me to record.
we have fun.
He doesn't even. Well, that's the thing. He doesn't ask me to record anymore. Now I just get to go. Hey, I want to do this, or I don't want to. I'm not going to.
Do you want me to air the drama on the episode? Because I'll do it right now. I don't ask you all the time because I know how lazy you are.
I'm listening to Johnny Cash.
It's not always about being lazy.
There are personal things that happen within our lives. We're not doing this.
No,
we're not doing this on the show.
You're the one who said you wanted to do it. Fucking bring it on, bud.
Personal things in somebody's life, that's
a lot of
nonsense.
shit going on. Try not to hinder you in your life.
I appreciate that.
Are we going to ask me how my week was?
It would be. It would be nice to get invited every now and then. That's all I'm saying.
I will make sure. I just don't like to stress you out.
How I
Nick's just been working a lot, playing some Elden Ring. Every now and then it's nothing. We can go on.
No. Nick, how has your week
How have you been?
been?
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know
how's
if I
your
want
week
to tell Evan because now my feelings are hurt.
I'm just.
Well, don't tell
I'm
Evan, tell
breaking
me.
balls over here.
I
Come on now.
have not talked to you in a couple of days.
Oh.
I want to know how you're doing. Evan can go suck a fatty. I don't care.
Which is totally fine. It's 2022 if that's what you want to
Not that there's anything wrong with that. To all
I
our
didn't
Seinfeld
say there
fans
was
out
anything wrong with that. I'm just saying those are your two options.
Oh man,
You don't
I
want to
like
listen to
you
Nick? Go suck a fatty.
I like what Nick just did there. I do the same thing where you lift up your pinky. I do that
It's
too.
because I'm Euro trash.
Sophisticated.
I just do it. I've done it. I don't know why.
Now I'm self-conscious of my
No,
finger.
don't be. It's not bad. It's just like something like I started doing it without thinking about it, and my parents called me out on it. They're like, "Why the hell are you doing that?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like I just started doing it, and I can't stop."
It's what I do.
Yeah, I can't stop it.
What?
I'm the
Matt?
opposite. I put my finger
I
underneath
do that
on the
too,
bottom.
as
I do that
support.
sometimes.
As support.
I do that sometimes.
My week has been all
Anyways.
right. Just working, like Evan said. I have been just playing Elden Ring with Brody. We've actually been co-oping a lot with people, which has been super fun for that game. That's where the game it shines when you play by yourself, obviously, but it really, really there's a special feeling when you're like able to explore the lands with your friends, even if it's a bit limited. Because as soon as you beat a boss or like fell an enemy, like a great enemy, or just like something that like pops up in the world, it does boot you out. And I really hope eventually it's like, hey, we're gonna make a summon, because you can't really make a mode. So I hope there's a summon eventually that you can do where it's like, I want to summon Matt to my world, but I want him to experience the world with me and run around. So I think that might happen, hopefully.
I think real quick, sorry. I think a system where it just asks like after you've beat like a boss or
you want to
a certain area.
World. Yeah.
Right, just like it would be a system of everybody who's there has to say yes, keep playing. If one person says no, type of deal, then you're booted. Whether whoever it is.
And that makes sense to me. That would be cool. So I've been watching playing Elden Ring. I'm sorry. Working a lot. My work tried to get me to go to Indiana today.
That was funny.
4 hours into Indiana, and they were like, "So how do you feel about that, Nick?" I'm like, "I don't feel anything." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to Indiana, so therefore I don't feel anything about Indiana." And they're like, "You could have said no." I'm like, "No, I couldn't have. I had to tell you in a really asshole way I'm not doing it, because if I just said no, you'd question me. So I had to be a cocksucker about it for you to get it."
Are they
Nice
asking you to take a delivery to Indiana, or are they asking you to work in Indiana?
No, it was this was at noon. So drive 4 hours to Indiana and 4 hours back home today.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Exactly. That's why I said I don't feel anything about it. They're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I don't feel anything because I'm not doing it." They're super pissed. But
it's funny. You tell me all the time. They ask you that. They ask you to do that all the time. Like,
They
you want
do.
to go to Indiana? You want to go to Ohio? It's like, no.
I'll go to Ohio any day of the week because it's usually just into Toledo.
Right, it's an hour.
That's whatever, right? But like, I got sent to Ohio once, and it was like 6 hours into Ohio, and like I came back home at like fucking 9 at night. And I'm like, dude, this sucks. Which
if you're gonna do that, do it at the very beginning of the day.
That's what I told them. I'm like, if you would have hit me up at like fucking like on
8:30?
Sunday or whatever. I didn't do it. I started watching. We're gonna get into video games soon here, folks. I promise. We've already been, but the main topic's coming, and this actually might be a decent segue into it. It's gonna get kind of fucked dark here in a minute. I watched Phoenix Rising, the first episode.
Is that the Halo show?
No. It's kind of fucked like the Halo show.
I don't know what the Phoenix Rising is. So
it's the Evan Rachel Wood documentary about Marilyn Manson.
Oh,
so not the Halo show.
It's not the Halo show.
No, not the Halo show. And I mean, you could have just said that, but that's fine too. I get it. You want to be a cocksucker to your work, that's fine, but don't be a cocksucker to your friend. Because
wow,
I don't take that.
Paulie Galtieri has shown through tonight.
Everybody.
Everybody,
fingers,
2 fingers. Yeah, pinky and index.
You got to do this, Matt. 2 finger it,
shake them,
and then you
there
shake.
You go.
There you go.
What is
Polly Walnuts? It's the Polly Walnuts.
Polly Walnuts.
Oh, Sopranos. Okay.
Yes. So Phoenix Rising again. It's about Evan Rachel Wood. explaining what happened to her by her abuser, Marilyn Manson. It's
You forgot a
not.
word.
It wasn't easy to watch.
Alleged.
No, yeah, I'm not going into those waters. I have personal opinions about a lot of it.
In terms of legality, we
It is
cannot say
alleged.
that he is
Legally, it is alleged.
he is alleged to have done these things.
What I will say, my wife disagrees.
That's totally fine.
I still really fuck with this music because Antichrist Superstar is one of the greatest metal albums of all times. And that's where I'm
This
leaving.
guy, edgy.
No, it's a really fucked up show. What's being described happened, and me and my wife watched it, and she just kept looking over at me from the couch. She's just like, I'm like, stop looking at me while
What
I'm
do you
wearing a
think?
Marilyn Manson t-shirt. I was wearing a Manson t-shirt. I wasn't ready. I'm like, what? Like, what do I do? I'm not taking it off. This is expensive. It's a fucking $200 shirt. I'm not taking it off.
Spend $200 on a Manson shirt?
My shirt is worth
Not even
$200.
the cool Manson?
No, my shirt is worth $200.
That means you paid $200.
All right, so for whatever
No.
this shitty segue that Nick was going to use to transition into our main topic,
It's
the Phoenix
controversial.
the Phoenix Rock, yeah, okay, fine, that's understandable.
We're talking about controversial games today. Again, we're going back to this series of
And
discussion.
censorship.
And censorship. So there was a game that came out recently. Fuck, what was it though?
That would have been nice to have known.
Time out. Martha is dead? I want to say? Time out.
Well, is she?
I don't know. Yes,
Yeah,
Martha is dead. There was
Yes.
a game that came out recently called Martha is Dead. And there is a scene in that game that was depicted of basically cutting the face off a character because you're finding clues. Really, I don't know much about the game, but I did see this. On the PlayStation Network, they heavily censored the game. And I just don't think
changes.
Yeah.
Changes include removing interactivity from certain graphic scenes and removing references to masturbation. The game is uncut on all other platforms. For whatever reason, the Wikipedia page of this is really screwed up. Like, it shows a section for censorship, and if you can, Nick, I don't know if you can click away or if you have it up on your other monitor. Okay, then Matt can look at it when he gets back on the in the general Discord, or you can look on your phone. It basically shows this one sentence of the censorship, and then the rest of the page is blank until it goes to the next topic, which is reception, which it received mixed or average reviews.
So a game that just did okay was so controversial, right? So like,
Yes.
it's just like Hatred. That game was just okay, but it was so controversial. Whatever.
I thought it was
Keep
stupid.
going.
I thought it was a stupid game.
So
Like,
what was censored from this game again?
it was just I just clicked out of it. You
So
son of a bitch.
masturbation and graphic.
What was it called?
Interactivity.
Martha's Dead?
Yeah.
Martha is Dead. It was censored on PlayStation only, and it
Yes.
removed interactivity from certain graphic scenes and removed references to masturbation.
I think that's ridiculous.
The game is uncut on all other things. I'm looking at the IGN article where that was taken from to see if there's any more detail. Yeah. Removed interactivity from scenes where players slice and peel off a corpse's face and cut open a corpse's womb with scissors. Nice. References to masturbation were also removed, and the PlayStation version features more detailed content warnings at the start of the game than other platforms. An optional censored mode was also added to PS4 and PS5 versions that, if turned on, entirely removes the face peeling and womb cutting scenes alongside scenes depicting miscarriage and suicide. All versions of the game feature an option to censor scenes of self-harm in the final chapter, but Xbox and PC versions do not include the expanded censored mode on PlayStation. My music stopped again, son of a bitch. This is why I don't talk that much.
You don't talk much? Is that what you just said?
Not at all. Very rarely do I speak. Charity Safe in Our World was approached by developer LKA to include a message within Martha is Dead to help players struggling with mental health issues, and this is now displayed at the beginning and end of the game on all versions, including Xbox and PC. It was announced on Valentine's Day, 10 days before the game launched, alongside news that the physical version of the game would be delayed for a short period of time. Neil Broadhead, awesome name, marketing head at Wired Productions. I think, like, what was it? Kiki Wolfkill was that the other one we talked about?
343.
Yeah, fucking awesome name. He is a marketing head at Wired Productions, told IGN that these changes were made due to talks with Sony itself. Quote, the changes in content were made as a result of conversations with PlayStation in the lead up to our launch. Although the changes were not planned and the modifications did result in a slight delay in being able to start production on the physical edition, PlayStation fully supported us to help minimize this delay, end quote.
Which
It's
is
rated M
cool
for
on
mature from the
PlayStation.
ESRB. It is rated M for mature.
Wait, time out. So before the alterations to the game, it was still rated M?
I don't know that. It doesn't
Okay.
say that it was rated anything higher. It just says that it was rated. It is, yeah, they rated it M for mature.
Okay.
A spokesperson for the board told IGN that it's unusual for companies like PlayStation to take decisions about what's appropriate into their own hands. They clarified that, quote, platforms and retailers always have the option to make choices about the content they want to offer to their consumers. Those situations like this are uncommon, end quote. PlayStation declined to comment when approached by IGN about it, and it remains unclear if the changes were made due to an overall policy on game content at the company or if this decision was made based on this single game itself. The founder and CEO
on
of
Steam.
the founder and CEO, Luca Dalco, I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I'm sorry, said the modified scenes are a very small part of the game and, quote, PlayStation players can still experience the story we're trying to tell. This is a vast and complex subject, and the changes that have been made do not distort the gaming experience. He also continued, in most circumstances, Martha is Dead is a game primarily focused on giving the player choice, both in the actions they take and the moves they make. However, there are naturally some cutscenes built into the experience that play out like a movie, but in the original version, we allowed some level of interaction from the player in order to maintain immersion. He explained that LKA heavily researched the subject material for Martha is Dead, set in 1944 Italy, and was supported by the European Commission for Audiovisual Works of Cultural Interest with Media Creative Europe. In terms of the removed masturbation references, Dalco made clear there's no visualization of masturbation or sex in the game, but it's the context that has been considered inappropriate. That context is that the references take place while the player is in a psychiatric hospital that practices religious as well as medical treatments. This is based on historical fact and real life accounts, is what Dalco says. These were places where patients were compulsorily admitted and where they often spent their entire lives. They were total institutions like prisons, restricting every facet of a person's life, and as such, masturbation was one of the few things that patients were able to do. In terms of this specific scene, the player walks in a field dotted with huge crosses with mask-wearing dolls hanging from them. A voiceover narrates the experience of living in an asylum, commenting that there was this one young woman who would pleasure herself all day long, incessantly to the point where she would bleed. It's important to note that this is a very dramatic moment in which the suffering of the forgotten is recounted. Unfortunately, part of this speech will not be present on the PlayStation version of the game.
That's ridiculous.
So let's go into why you think that's ridiculous, and then we'll jump into why Matt thinks it's ridiculous. Or not ridiculous, sorry. Fix that.
These topics. Smart. This game sounds heavy, and from what I've seen of the game already, it is a heavy game. It's mature. It's not for children.
It's rated
in no way, shape, or form is it ever marketed for anyone under 18.
Let me pull this up too while we're at it.
There has been countless games that depicted far more acts of depravity. Look to Manhunt and beyond Manhunt. Okay? Talking about masturbation, you could fucking do as many dick jokes in the game as you want. You can fucking show cock as like a fucking haha. But when it's talked about a woman, you can in a lot of games, like in fucking Scum, in fucking Cyberpunk, GTA, Hitman, shit like that. You can see cock.
GTA, you only see cock for a little bit, but
right,
the
but
other
it's
ones,
still there as Cyberpunk, a comedic thing.
Cyberpunk, you can see it on your character. What'd you say, Scum? Yes, that's true. What was the other one you said too?
But it's comedic, right? But as soon as it's like
generally,
it's like, oh well, this woman masturbated until she bled. That's where it's like, As soon as it ever hits woman, they go, because as men, we are not hot, right? Women are sexualized to the nth, and I get that, but don't just take it out because we're discussing a woman masturbating till bleeding, right? That's fucking stupid. This game had a story to tell, and taking certain aspects of the story away it's just wrong. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth, man, and it bums me out. I'm not saying like I need the most graphic depictions.
You don't need
in
a description of what she's doing. You just.
But if it's
like,
there for a purpose, if it's not there to shock me, if it's there like, hey, this is something that we are going to discuss. It's heavy. It's dark. You're not gonna like it, but we are taking you on this ride, whether you like it or not.
Sure.
Because this is the game, and we're not doing it to shock you, but like we're just trying to tell a story here, and it may be shocking. Don't take that away. And I understand it's up to the publishers and Sony's discretion, but it just feels like such a lame fucking move, dude. And it takes, I don't know.
I don't
with it.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I understand to an extent what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're not seeing the greater picture of some of it.
Okay.
First of all, in terms of comedic value, like you were stating, that also has been censored in instances like South Park, The Stick of Truth.
Correct.
When
yes.
there's the scene where you're the little gnome, like you're the small people, and you're literally going by Randy and Sharon having sex, and you can see Randy's balls flopping around and everything.
Yes.
That was censored in a lot of other countries in the U.S.
Yes.
Because that is, for
Not
a
allowed.
lot of countries, that's quite far, you know?
Yeah.
Like you look at a place like Japan, you know, with animated porn, hentai.
That's uncensored, but like
and
actual
it's
porn.
no, it's not uncensored. The
No, they
women's
censor
breasts
it.
are the women's breasts are uncensored, but the male and female genitalia
that's
are
correct.
not are
Correct.
censored.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
anything
it is-
vaginal is usually censored in Japan.
Yeah,
and
penis
Right.
insertion. Yeah, insertion in anything is usually censored. But yeah, like you said,
So-
boobs are okay.
Lame-os.
Right. Well, it has to do with
Just gotta learn to get off the pixels, my guy.
it has to do with each country's culture.
Their own
Correct.
specific,
Whereas
what they're
in
comfortable
Europe,
with.
Right. Some
Europe,
places
violence is more looked down upon than in America, but sex is like part of life.
They're cool with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sexual
right. You
things
go
are
to
usually
Europe
okay.
and you have commercials for milk, and it's a woman naked.
There's
and
porn
that's
in
totally
Romania
cool.
just on TV. You just flip to a channel over
Right.
there and it's on TV.
It is all just dependent on that place's culture.
Yeah.
And what they deem
What they're okay
more
with.
acceptable than what isn't. So
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to that, Sony has to think of not just the United States, because even though it's a large
Every
market,
region.
you have to think of every region, right? If they want this game to sell, they have to look at, okay, well, we have to look at some of the non-essential points that don't necessarily take away from the story,
Right.
that we can cut a little bit to make it more accessible to a large worldwide audience.
Right.
you know?
And the
get
developers
that.
of the game were okay with that too, right? They didn't cause a huge fuss. They were like,
No, they want
it's
their game out
unfortunate.
there.
They're like, it's unfortunate, but we understand Sony's decision to do this. To go back to this though, or not go back to it, but to provide some context here, the game is rated M. It is not said here in Martha's Debt, and the Wikipedia page for it is screwed up for whatever reason, but it was rated M for mature. M for mature from the ESRB is, quote, content is generally suitable for ages 17 and up, may contain intense violence, blood and gore, sexual content, and or strong language. Which generally it seems like Martha is Dead contained most of these things. I do not think that a voiceover, not a visual description or a visual telling,
Voiceover of masturbation, basically. Like
yeah, a
description
voiceover of
masturbation.
saying like just, and not going into detail, right? Just saying like, there in this hospital or in this psychiatric institution, there was a girl who pleasured herself incessantly until she bled. I do not think personally that goes above the M rating. I think that is within the boundaries of it. I agree with Matt though, in that Sony's kind of covering their ass wherever they're at, because the ESRB is not, I don't know if that's a global thing or if that's just US and Europe. I don't know what. No,
So
it's not. It's just US, I think, isn't it?
Overseas, they have like PEGI,
Yeah, PEGI.
PEGI, yeah.
Right. Things like that. So one more thing that I did
It deals
wanna
with
bring
US
up.
and Canada. That's all it deals with. ESRB just deals with those.
Right. So one thing that I do want to bring up as well is, so obviously the idea of woman in this masturbating until she bleeds. That's not really like it's not like that was just the point, right? The entire point is that your entire life is controlled to the point where literally
All you do is masturbate.
the only thing you can do other than
You're
sleep
able to do.
or do what you've been told, the only thing you have of free will is to masturbate a
masturbate.
lot. Right.
Yeah, that's all you're able
I
to
don't
do.
think that
Not
would
all you
even be
guys do.
okay. What?
What?
No, what'd you say? I didn't hear you.
I didn't say anything, bro. Keep going to the episode.
Go on.
Why did you just fuck whatever?
Yeah, ignore him.
Don't interrupt me with the joke, and then if I don't hear it, not repeat the
can't.
joke.
Yeah,
I
to,
said
Like
that's not
if
all
you're gonna
guys do.
say it, fucking say
I said that's
it, okay?
not all you guys do.
Oh
No.
my God.
Because I do it like 2 or 3 times, and I go, I can't do this
Tell
anymore.
the audience how much you masturbate.
I don't do that all the time.
How many times can you masturbate in a day? We're already
Why
here.
are you asking him this?
I
We're
don't
already
know.
here.
I've never tried.
This is an OBO topic. Jesus.
I've just
It's funny.
regardless.
Yes.
So in
My
light
dad
of
listens to this
in,
shit.
in light of the context, well, big fucking Neil, guess what? We're talking about
almost-
masturbation.
He almost spit out his drink. That was the whole purpose of that comment.
Fuck. Yeah, Big Neil's like, you can't hang out with these 30-year-olds anymore.
He's like, bro, I cannot
some
believe
fucking
the
friends
shit
your own
I heard
age."
the other day.
Holy shit.
I would tell him straight up and be like, the friends my age would probably say worse shit.
Yeah,
Anyways,
same. Yeah. Matt.
so
Go on.
the
yes, sorry.
idea is more based, I think, more based around the context of the
bigger picture.
situation. Right.
Okay.
2, it is the censoring of something that is not an essential part of the show, right? Or of the game.
Of the game.
Yeah.
It would be how I think of it as is that it's not like, okay, Grand Theft Auto. If
Sure.
they removed the ability to steal cars in a game called Grand Theft Auto,
Moot.
that
That
would
be
absolutely fucking ridiculous.
sure.
But-
Sure.
If they scale back on the fact of, you can beat a hooker with a bat,
Don't ever
if
take
you-
that out of GTA, by the way.
I'm just saying, if they took that out to the point where you can't physically see it and they just say, you do this, that's not going to ruin the experience.
So like Oregon Trail.
Sure, yes. I'm just
A
saying, it doesn't
trail.
ruin the experience, right? It just goes, oh, well, that's kind of lame, I guess. But whatever, you move past it. That is not an
Kinda lame.
essential core to the game to
Oh,
where
fuck.
anything is missed.
Yeah, I get what
It
you're
is
saying.
just
Yeah.
an added thing that you can live without.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
on top of
Yep.
that, I also don't necessarily agree with the fact of having to push the envelope just because you can push the envelope.
It
Something
does-
like
I agree
something
with that
something
100%.
a game like Hatred, right?
that
Yep.
was
Very
a stupid
controversial.
game. Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
a shitty
but-
game.
It's literally pushing the envelope, especially in a time in America where there is an unprecedented amount of mass shootings. To then have a game
Correct.
dictating that and to where you live out that fantasy, that's pushing the envelope. Whether or not you have the ability to do that, that's pushing the
But
envelope.
you
a
should be
point.
allowed to do it.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't be allowed to do it. I'm just saying
But the response that it got
You
was
should be
can't-
ready to
it's-
take
it's
the
not-
response.
it's not whether you should or shouldn't. It's not whether you can or can't, right? You can push the envelope, but should you push the envelope? That is just being edgy and as far outgoing as you can,
Right.
specifically in the name of causing controversy. That
But I
is
do
not
think
serving
this
a
game was
purpose.
trying to
That
do
is
that.
no, and I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying like things.
you see
I mean,
what
you
they're
have-
doing. Like you
have-
get it.
you have Call of Duty's famous no
No
Russian
Russia.
level.
Yeah, no Russian. yeah.
Right. That
And
is
the newer
not
game in general.
something
I didn't need that part of
That-
the game.
right. And that's
No.
what I'm trying to get at here.
Modern Warfare.
You
the
didn't
new one,
need that part of the
2018.
game. If
Yeah, kill the baby.
if you skip that as a playable part and you
That's all I
alluded
meant.
to the fact that was there's a
No, I
cutscene
got-
and you allude to the fact that hey there's a mass shooting like in in No Russian and then there's just text and you see the aftermath of it, that's still going to be the same impact as you physically doing it.
Actually, it may
You
have impacted
they
harder.
had you right. They had you physically do it just to push the envelope, just like in hatred. This is an instance that could be considered pushing the envelope in the namesake of um of being controversial, because
Just to be
it's not just about
shock factor, right? You're just
right,
doing
because
it to shock.
the issue here is that it's not just about this one particular instance of a girl masturbating in an asylum to where she starts bleeding. It's also about the fact that there is blatant suicide, there is miscarriage, a very traumatic thing for a lot of people who have to deal with that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
whether or not that's even
Sure.
forced or accidental. On top of that, there's a womb cutting scene.
And
That's
it's peeling someone's
it's too
face off.
far.
Yeah.
It's too far just for the sake of controversy. That is not necessarily something that it has to be there. Whether you can or can't isn't the point. It's whether you morally should or should not. And I
Doesn't
don't
need to be
disagree.
there.
Right, and I don't disagree with certain places, depending on their culture, dictating
Censoring it or not.
this is unacceptable because it is so outlandish, you know?
So to go along with that, I'd like to just add in my thoughts on it, because I see points from both of you. So
And I do agree with Matt really quick as well.
yeah,
right, and I don't
and
disagree with
and
you guys either. That's just my
right.
side.
I understand totally what you're saying. My question, not to you guys, but just as a general statement, or just thinking about it, is that so Sony and by and large PlayStation. I mean, I can get it on Steam tonight and I can play it and see exactly what they did not want to see, which I
Right.
very well might do. But so Sony's like, well, we don't want this to be on our platform, blah, 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 blah. My bigger thing then is that, so do you not want it to be on that platform because it does not reflect your values, or are you taking it off because of other cultures, whereas maybe in America these situations would not be so, it's not so taboo to show them, or it's not so taboo to see them? And because I don't like the idea of it being a blanket, right? If Japan doesn't want it released because it doesn't go with
Then
their culture,
region
it doesn't
censor
go
it.
with it doesn't go with their rating system or whatever, that's totally fine. They should not be, like, Japan should not be ridiculed for not wanting it, right? And nor should the PEGI system, or any country in Europe or anywhere else that doesn't want it. But if America or the United States and Canada is okay with it, and the ESRB is okay with it, then there should be a clear line of like, okay, well, Sony's going to allow it here because the rating boards over here are okay with it. Therefore, we're not going to censor it here because they don't want it to be censored. Granted, Sony might want it just because it protects their brand, and that's entirely up to them. But then that's where I kind of lean into, and honestly, where I do slightly disagree when it came to the no Russian mission that you brought up. Whereas, like, if you had text on the screen that shows like what happened in the mission that you didn't want to play or whatever, I have found personally, just through my experience of playing games like COD and Modern Warfare, to name one of those, as well as Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 5, to a degree, The Last of Us series, Uncharted, I was going to say, but that doesn't really reach into what I'm thinking about here. But like, as a kid growing up playing GTA 5 and having to torture somebody was a lot different, having the controller and being able to go like, I can't skip past this necessarily. I have to pick what I have to do to this person. So like, as a kid, I'm playing it and I'm like, well, I don't want to hurt this guy that much. Right. So I'm picking the things that hurt him least. Like, or in my mind as a kid would hurt him least, right? So like, yeah, putting fucking cables on his nipples and shocking him probably hurts a lot more than just ripping out a tooth. So I'd rip out a tooth. Or playing as a kid, playing The Last of Us and watching Ellie almost get raped, to then grab a machete and cut this guy into pieces, that hits me a lot harder than just seeing something on the screen, right? And I think that that's important to a degree as well, to show these things, because movies and TV do that as well, depending on the network and what it's allowed to be shown. Like HBO probably wouldn't shy away from it, but AMC might. But as well as for movies, where sometimes I think it really hits people when you have to watch it. You can't look away almost, or like you want to look away because you're like, it's so bad, but at the same time, it really affects you. I had to call Nick when I was playing The Last of Us 2 because of so many fucked up because of so many fucked up sequences where I was just like, I can't.
I put my controller down for that game many times.
And that sticks in my mind more than games that don't have that sort of thing, which is not to criticize those games. Absolutely not. Right. Like that's not a criticism on them at all at any point, but things that stick in my mind more are the things that made me uncomfortable. So if I
Right.
play Martha's Dead tomorrow and I see those scenes of peeling off someone's face, which by the way, in that IGN article and on Wikipedia, it doesn't seem that there's no context given as to why you have to do that, which is
I thought
another
it was
thing
like
is
find
that
a clue. I think that's a whole thing where you're trying to find some sort
That's
of clue.
so I still don't understand what the game is about, because as far as all I know is that it's set in 1944 Italy, which is during World War II.
Yeah.
At the end when they're losing, and it deals with clearly, mental illness as well as plenty of other complex, mature themes, which is part of why I also think it necessarily didn't need to get something like for Sony doing it. That's their thing, but I can clearly see that that's kind of the system working where Microsoft was like, it's rated M. We're not going to remove it. Steam
Right.
is like, it's rated M. We're not going to remove it. Like
It's
that's the system working.
It was advertised properly.
Sony is covering their ass because they don't want it to be on their platform, which is totally up to them. That's absolutely their right. And I think the broader topic at hand that Nick wanted to bring up, if I'm not mistaken, is just maybe the rating system in general, and just how it's kind of like it's pick and choose depending on companies, depending on the companies that make it, the developers, publishers, the people you're pushing it to. So like, let's say Dice makes a mature game. They're the developer. EA is okay with it. They're the publisher. Sony and Microsoft aren't okay with it. Now it has to be cut. Or vice versa. Microsoft and Sony don't give a shit, but EA doesn't want it because now it makes them look bad, which, let's be honest, really hard for you to look worse than you already do.
Ooh.
But sorry, had to fucking roast you there. But like, that's kind of, I think, what Nick is what you wanted to just bring up in general, is that there's a lot of different institutions here, and they all have their own opinion or their own understanding of what these things should be. And there's really, ESRB is what gives everything on the box a rating, right? They
like
give
the
that to
parental
everybody.
advisory sticker. It's like the
Sure,
PG,
let's be
PG-13
honest,
R rating.
You can look at it as depending on the topic or depending on the show or movie or game or whatever, it can be bogus. Like it's rated M for mature, which is, like I said, may contain intense violence, blood and gore, sexual content, and or strong language, which is what it seems all these have. Question is, they gave it that. Is it an adults only rating where it includes prolonged scenes of intense violence, graphic sexual content, and or gambling with real currency? I will actually, while you guys, I'll hand the torch over to you guys. I will look it up on ESRB and see what they said.
So what
because they give a better description as to why they name it what they name it.
My thing is this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's this. When it comes to censorship, I'm very much against censorship when it comes to something as simple as this. It may not be simple, but it's simple in the regards to region censor the game as appropriate. It's happened before. GTA has been region censored. DayZ's been region censored for like Australia, things like that. That is fine, but for an American audience, for a European audience, this is nothing that we've shied away from. And to me, from what this game sounds like, these scenes were a little important to really give you the grasp of how heavy the game is. It didn't feel like it was trying to shock you. It was trying to say, this is the heavy situation of this game. And if that's how they're going to show it, I am cool with that. If they're just going, hey, by the way, cut off this cock and put it in his ass, okay, then take that the fuck out of the game. Just like Cyberpunk. I don't need to see fucking tits when I'm making a character. I don't need to see cock and balls, but you can.
Well, you can,
pissed?
and that's a bigger point that goes with Cyberpunk in general, where it's like that was their own fault, and that was their not, I was going to say downfall, but that's too far, because I mean the downfall of it was more of the lack of the game.
Would you say it was finished. The downfall of us all?
I was thinking that.
Yep, I don't get the reference, but I'll agree.
We're old. That's why we got the reference.
But I looked up the Martha is Dead rating on ESRB, which gives a better summary as to what happens.
Yes.
The rating summary is: this is a horror adventure game in which players assume the role of a woman, Julia, trying to solve the mystery of her twin sister's murder. From a first-person perspective, players explore an Italian countryside in 1944, interact with characters, solve puzzles, and gather clues to the murder. As the narrative progresses, the game depicts surreal, nightmare sequences of intense violence, such as Julia cutting the face off of a corpse and wearing its flesh, Julia cutting a corpse's stomach open and pulling out a dead fetus, a character slitting her wrist open. One sequence depicts a character shooting a bound woman off screen, then burying the dismembered corpse. The game contains dialogue that references sexual material, such as, "You're just a useless little slut," "I'm pregnant with his baby," "We had sex," the raping being committed by invading soldiers. During the course of a game, a corpse is depicted with exposed breasts, and tarot cards include small drawings of nude women. The words fuck and shit are heard in the game. So I would say that probably garners it an M rating. It doesn't deserve an AO.
I feel like that deserves an AO.
No,
really,
I do. Yes, there is a.
I think
there
we'd
is
have
a
to see
very
the scenes. I think we'd have to see the scenes to really judge it, right?
Yeah,
because if it's a couple seconds,
this is a. Those are a lot heavier of
two things I would say are heavier.
Scenes.
What are Let Matt go, and then I want to ask you what the two scenes you consider.
That's a lot heavier than the normal M-rated game, right? That is a much darker, deeper, and much more not vigorous. I'm trying to think like
visceral.
Just yes, thank you. Visceral. That is a very visceral action that you have to witness, right? That is the difference between alluding to someone almost got raped and physically seeing
it's no
someone
different than an R-rated movie, though.
It is that because that is like your snuff films, right? It is taking it to the next level. Yeah, and I don't think that they should be rated R. I think those should definitely be
NC-17.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's just like Jaw.
Don't fucking call me out about my snuff film, dude. Be quiet. Be chill. Saw's an R-rated movie. Saw's soft.
I mean, it's soft to a degree, but there is a lot of parts that you could easily say is taken too far. I don't think that it should be censored, but I feel like it definitely was misrated to the point where I feel like if this game was rated AO, above the just mature 17 plus, then I feel like there is a lot less controversy behind it. Okay. Because if you look at anything, if you say fuck 5 times, you're an automatic M rating type of deal, right? And then in the same category as someone swearing a little bit, you have cutting someone's face off, fucking cutting a dead baby out of a woman's stomach, wearing the flesh of dead people. Like, I'm sorry, those are two total extremes.
Pretty gnarly.
And you're telling me that they belong in the same category? No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so
I am not against censorship.
You think it was,
I think that it should have been rated as AO. It should have been I feel like that definitely would have helped with it. And then, like you said, region specific censoring along with the option to maybe censor it yourself.
Yes.
Right, to censor it yourself compared to it being forcibly censored.
Okay.
Right.
But as I was trying to, kind of getting at earlier, there's a huge difference between the alluding to something terrible happening and then physically interacting or seeing something happen. Well, I don't disagree with Evan's point that it sticks in your mind if you see something horribly uncomfortable. That sticks with you and it makes an impression on you, which is what it wants. But now, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because I never played this game, so this is something out of ignorance. I could be wrong. If so, please let me know. But as you were describing, there in The Last of Us 2, there is a scene where Ellie almost gets raped.
First one, but yes.
Oh, the first one. Okay.
Yes.
So there's a scene where she almost gets raped, and then she kills her abuser extremely violently.
With like a machete, right, Evan?
So the way it's framed, the way it's shot is that it's implied both through the character, the villain's motive, or not motive, but the way he's acting and the way that he's grabbing at her, that might also be something that he's going to do before he kills her, because he runs a like town of cannibals. So he grabs her, he's saying certain things to her. He's not saying things like in this where he's calling her like a slut. He's not saying anything like that. He's just kind of like talking about his own camp and like what he's had to do to survive and that kind of thing, and why certain things are necessary. He gets on top of her, as far as I remember. I'm trying to remember it as best I can. And then she grabs a machete. The shot sequence, if I remember correctly, is him grabbing her, getting on top, her being able to overpower him, or no, I'm sorry, not overpower him. She is held by her wrists like this. She's able to reach back somewhat and grab a machete, where she hits him with it. He falls down. She gets on top and repeatedly hits him at least 10 to 15 times until Joel comes and saves her. His body is never seen. There is no shot sequence of him getting hit repeatedly, and there is no body shown afterwards. It is all off screen. It is all stuff that just happens.
And that is exact. Okay, so that's exactly how I imagine it would be, right? That is the alluding to something terrible happening, but not the physical act of interacting or seeing it.
You are not controlling anything when it happens. Yes,
right.
You are just
that 100%. 100%. I'm okay with things like that. It's like, wow, that's really fucked up. I totally agree with Ellie's decision to do that. I'm right there with her, compared to something where like you physically see him ripping her clothes off. She's bound up and she manages to finally escape. And then on top of that, you see her physically beating and mutilating his body with the machete. You see it getting worse and worse. You see the impact of it, right? That is the two different that is the alluding versus the interaction.
No. And I said that's funny, but I meant it in a sense. Sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to add on to what you just said and what I recognized when I was explaining to you what happens in the first game. They do that in the second game, because in the second game there's the same sequence, honestly almost a mirror, where Ellie is interrogating a woman who has killed one of her loved ones, or was a part of killing one of her loved ones, and the same thing happens. This girl is sick. She's already going to die, but Ellie wants information. So off screen, you don't see the character she's going to kill, but you see Ellie's face. And then a button prompts up that says to hit circle to swing, or to hit. You know what it means, because if you've played the game, you know that button equates to a melee attack. It doesn't say press square to hit her. It doesn't say that. But you hit it, and then she hits the girl. She reacts off screen. Ellie obviously visibly reacts and says something. You hit the button again. She does it again. And then for the third time, you hit her again, and then it cuts to black. And then you just see Ellie come home with scars. She's red. She's got blood all over her hands. We know that she's done something terrible, which, and I would agree with what you just said. You don't necessarily have to see the action itself, but the impact of what happens, whether on screen or off, which is something I'd like to say, is just filmmaking in general, is what's in the frame and what's not in the frame.
Ooh, me.
Nick,
Quick, me.
Hold on. Nick, let me finish what I was saying, excited. Just because Evan kind of interrupted me. So there's one more point that I was going to get to, and then ahead. You can go, okay?
Yeah.
So once again, I'm talking about the alluding to something bad happening versus the actual interaction and forcibly visually seeing it, right?
Right, okay.
Like in No Russian or Hatred, it's the idea of you are physically interacting and forcibly watching.
You're hitting the button.
Something horrific happen.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I don't think that like you made the you made the, now you can. Now you can.
Yeah.
When it came out, you could.
I don't remember if you could.
No, actually, there. Yes, you could.
Was there? Okay, I don't know.
You could turn.
I was a stupid kid, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. But now I'm like, that's kind of fucked up. Like,
you see the thing. You see the thing that tells you at the beginning of the game.
Turn it off.
Yeah. You can see it.
But regardless, so it is. Nick, you made the joke earlier when I talked about how you didn't need to physically play it. You could have done something to where you alluded to that happening.
Right.
And you made the joke about how, Oregon Trail text is going to pop up. And it's going to say, you this is what you do. You go and you murdered so many innocent people or whatever. You don't have. It doesn't have to be that night and day type of censorship where it just literally removes the entire thing, black screen, nothing but text telling you what happened. It could be the alluding to, like in The Last of Us, the alluding to something terrible where it happens off screen and then you see the aftermath of it. You see the effects of what happened. And
To the
as it explained
characters,
to you
yep.
and shown to you afterwards, where you can piece it together and you go, oh shit, like you go
Right.
into this airport and now all of a sudden there's 150 dead people, you know? You
Yep.
don't have to physically do it to go in there and be like, holy shit, this is fucking horrible.
But I think the option should still be there for those who want to experience it.
Right. And I'm
Yes.
not saying that that option shouldn't be there. But it is an entirely different argument in context for the censorship of it
Correct.
because it is so blatantly over the top, violent, and just uncomfortable. It's
Right.
visceral. It's disgusting. It is the worst of the worst in terms of humanity and what we can do.
I think it could go worse.
Hold on.
What else?
Not much, honestly. That
To-
is about as messed up as it can be.
To add or to
That's about the limit, you know.
to respond to
Pretty
that,
hard, yes.
I feel that.
Oh no, Nick. It's Nick's
Oh,
turn.
sorry. Yeah, Nick
Yeah,
wanted to go. My
Nick.
bad. Yep, go ahead.
I agree with the sentiment because in filmmaking, sometimes what you don't see on screen, what you can only possibly hear or allude to,
And
is
interpret.
scarier. It's
Yes.
scarier. It's more impactful. It can really leave a lasting scar on your mind, which, if for film and video game, that's an important thing. You want a
Yep.
lasting scar almost. You want them to remember what had happened. I think it's important. But I'm not one of these fucking crazy Yanks who it's like, oh, it's my right. I don't know. But I want the option. I want my opinion to be heard though, where it's like, listen, I understand this is fucked up, but I want to experience this level of fucked up. Not because I'm trying to be weird, but because I want
You
to
wanna see
experience
what
it in
they-
its entirety.
You want to
want
see
feel
what
that
the
emotional.
director intended. You want to see
Yes,
what they intended.
Yes, I want to
Let's
feel that emotional impact as if I am the character. I want to be in the brain and the eyes of that character. So if that character is doing something fucked up, therein I am doing something fucked up, and I want to have that emotional impact because people in video games don't realize when you do have to do something like in GTA 5 when you torture somebody. I felt the same way. I was like, man, I really don't want to do this, but I have to do this. It left a thing in my head where I'm like, I know I don't want to, but to progress and for my character's sake, I have to do this.
Right.
And therefore I did.
right. And
You know?
go ahead, Evan. It's your turn.
No, so what I wanted to add to it though is that say this game got an AO rating, like Matt you suggested if I'm not mistaken, which I would have been fine with as well. The thing is that, and this is where I disagree with rating systems entirely, or
It
just
can't
how
be sold on certain markets, right?
Well, it can't be, but then it's also like how often in the past 10 years, when have you seen an AO
Hatred.
game? That's it.
Hatred got an AO at one point.
And
Agony.
hatred
Agony.
and hatred agony got one, but then it was given back.
And they
Steam
took away
was able
they took it away as well, by the way. They took away the uncensored version. It's gone now. So it's back
On
to being
Steam?
censored. That's what also pissed me off. They gave us
So-
an uncensored version, and as of 2 weeks ago, it's gone.
So there have been 27 AO rated games since 1993. Most of them due to
Custer's
strong
Revenge,
sexual. Well, that's actually not one that I'm seeing here. I'll look for it.
General Custer's Revenge was an Atari game where
It's not on
it's
here.
very
yeah.
racist and very not good.
Most of them are due to strong sexual content. Some due to realistic blood and gore. One due to gambling. Most of them, though, however, due to blood and gore, strong content, nudity, sexual acts, that kind of thing. The certain use of alcohol, that kind of thing.
Can we get
Games
the list
that had
in a minute?
I can just send you. I can read all of them if you want.
Yes, you can.
I mean,
that's what I'm asking. I can't open it up or I'll fuck up our YouTube video.
Sure. I mean, I can read. These are the ones that were released with an AO rating that were not changed. The Joy of Sex, 1993, obviously strong sexual content. These next ones all have strong sexual content. Crystal Fantasy, Cyber Photographer, which were both released in 95 and 96. All Nude Cyber, All Nude Glamour, and
Just porn games.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Rouge in 97. All of those were released with strong sexual content. Rihanna Rouge was also released was also given realistic blood and gore.
Right.
All Nude Nikki, Body Language, and Wet the Sexy Empire. You can figure that
This is
one
all
out.
porn.
Playboy
much,
Screensaver, The Women of Playboy, Sexy
Playboy
Games, Singles,
Screensaver. I had that.
Snowdrop, Tokimeki Check-In, Water Closet, The Forbidden Chamber, Exchange, Critical Point. All of these were due to strong sexual content. Peak Entertainment Casinos. Yeah, Peak Entertainment Casino. That's gambling. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was given an AO rating due to the hot coffee minigame. Yes, and then it was taken out, so it just was given an M. Leisure Suit Larry. Awesome.
Hey.
That was given an AO rating. Lula 3D, Playboy the Mansion, Manhunt 2. Obviously, that was due to.
I was going to bring that up too.
F, A Fairy Tale of the Two. That's a hentai game, it looks like, or an anime game.
Another porn game.
Eden plus Mosaic, also porn game, more anime. Hatred had been controversial due to its premise, which focused on a main character who basically just kills everybody he encountered, which is why I didn't like the game, because it wasn't really, there was no lesson to be taught.
There was nothing compelling about it. Just go kill everybody.
Yeah, it was just
Postal,
go kill everybody.
Right?
Nothing crazy. Nope.
Postal was M, but I think it almost hit A couple times.
The last
I think
game,
it was given. I think it was given AO at one point, and then it was retracted.
The last game that was given an AO rating that was released with the same rating was Seduce Me, which came out in 2015 from No Reply Games for strong sexual content, nudity, strong language, and use of drugs. It was developed by a studio led by former Guerrilla Games employees Miriam Bellard and Andres Skuja. It was pulled from the Steam Greenlight program for its sexual content. It doesn't give a Wikipedia link. Games that had received but were not released with an AO rating were 1998's Thrill Kill, which the game's release was canceled after Virgin Interactive was acquired by EA, which objected to the game's subject matter. 2004's The Punisher, which was edited prior to the release of the game, including adding a black and white visual effect to the interrogation sequences in order to reduce their impact. Fahrenheit, which was released as Indigo Prophecy, that was from Quantic Games.
Quantic Games, yeah.
Yeah, it remarked that
David
many players
Chase, right?
No.
David Chase is a serial killer. My bad.
David Chase is not a serial killer.
You sure?
David Chase is the creator of The Sopranos, dumbass.
Oh my god, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, that's clear now. The ESRB lists the director's cut of the game on PC as having an AO rating, but it is unknown if this was ever publicly released. A 2015 remaster of the game received an M rating with no cuts. So I'm assuming that means no cuts to the content that was added. It was sex scenes that were edited out of the game to meet the M rating for the... There you go. The CEO of Quantic Dream at the time, I will not try and pronounce his name because I cannot imagine.
Richard Chase is a serial killer, by the way.
Or Dick Chase, remarked that many players imported the uncut European release. So most people, for when Fahrenheit came out, actually just got the unedited European release. 2007's Manhunt 2 was an AO rating, but then it was edited prior to meet the M rating.
It was terrible.
In 2009, an uncut version was released for PC under the AO rating. Both cuts were also refused classification in the UK, but Rockstar successfully appealed for an 18 rating on the M-rated edit. 2017's Outlast 2 was given a AO rating, but it was edited to meet the M rating. In 2018, the game's PC version released a patch on Steam that reinstated the cut content. The Australian Classification Board originally refused to give the game a classification, effectively banning it from being released until an edited version was granted an R18 plus classification. And then the last one that was granted an AO rating but was not released with it was Agony in 2018.
Yeah.
Like Nick said, the game was originally given an AO rating but was edited to meet the M. The game's developer, Madmind Studios, intended to release a patch for the PC version to restore the cut content, but was blocked by its publisher for legal reasons. The game was reissued on Steam as the self-published Agony Unrated in October 2018, which is uncensored and contains other patches and improvements. So here's my thing. Is that the AO rating should be utilized way more often.
Yes,
it's there.
Thank you. That was my next point.
The AO rating should just be used.
It's literally, it seems almost exclusively to gambling and porn games.
It also feels
right?
exclusively to
But then if you go to
dangle
if you
over
go to
your head so
Steam,
you don't make a game like that, though.
if you go to Steam and you
Right,
just
because
type in a
there's
hentai game, you can find plenty.
And
well,
they're
yeah, you
M.
can right.
You can find
Which makes
visual
no
novels.
sense.
You can find visual novels that have just like visual movements, like actual like movie style things, like just gifs of sex, of just penis in vagina, like just going fucking ham. Like you can find that on Steam. Nothing to
You could
stop it,
find
right?
that as a fucking web browser game on Newgrounds.
Well, that's
Like,
what I'm
know,
saying, and
like
it's released on Steam, and it's like, okay, but like use the AO rating. It's there, it exists. The ratings of from the ESRB in North America is everyone 10 and up,
Yeah.
teen, mature 17 and up, and adults only 18 and up. But as I just said, out of all of the games that we just said, 27 have been released with an AO rating, and then those 6 were given an AO rating, but then had to be edited.
right.
Because they know that if they release it as
It
an AO
won't
rating,
sell.
you can't put it in GameStop, you can't put it in Best Buy, you
Yes.
can't
Right,
put it in
which-
these certain places, which is bogus. Why have this rating if you can't use it?
It's to
Yes.
detour from making the content above M, which
And
I
Right,
that's what
think
I
is wrong.
that's what I
There's-
disagree with.
It is wrong. I completely agree with that. I think
Yep.
that it should be less negatively stipulated to have an AO game, right? If you make it more
If
more of
you
a normal
normalize it.
thing, if you
Yeah.
if you normalize it, it's not going to be that big of a deal, right?
Yep.
Because honestly, let's be fucking real here. Grand Theft Auto should be like an adult only game, right?
Yeah,
Because
basically
there
is.
is no difference
Absolutely.
between mature 17 and up and adult only 18 and up. If a 17-year-old who wants to play Grand Theft Auto has to wait a fucking year, oh no, cry a river. That's not the end of the world, right?
Right.
All right.
I feel like everyone was saying, this rating is there for a reason to be used. It should
Utilize it,
not
yeah.
be frowned upon to have a game that is an AO.
Yeah.
But if the only games that are AO are fucking porn games and gambling games,
Then no shit.
Then right, of course nobody's gonna want to have an AO rating, because then you have porn games, gambling games, and then you have hatred.
So you're stuck in
Or
you're
agony.
stuck in that fucking realm
Well,
of games where it's
hold
like
on.
my game is AO, but now
Hold
I'm
on.
stuck with the porn games.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
Here's the thing with that I think is that, so you have all these ratings, like I said, you have E10, teen, mature, and AO. And if AO rated games have just porn games, gambling games, and games that are there for shock value, the market dictates what people will think of those things. Popularity will
Yeah,
dictate
absolutely.
what people think of those things. So if they just see games like Custer's Revenge and they see like just Playboy, mix and match
Screensaver.
to get the nudes.
Hentai,
Like they just see
futa,
the
and Breeders of Nephilim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like if they just see those things, then people will go, okay, whatever. And then, but if Martha is Dead comes out on AO and it's a heavy story and it's got a lot of fucked up themes, it's got a lot of fucked up visuals, and they don't shy away from anything, that's what happens, is that the market and people go and say, well, most AO games are this, but this was an AO rated game that really hit to the core of a lot of really deep issues for people. Like imagine if what's it called, Shenua, Hellblade, or Hellblades, Shenua's Sacrifice.
Senua,
Yeah, Senua.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't remember it.
Senua Hellblade, yep.
Yeah, that second game comes out and it's an AO rated game because it deals with themes of mental illness, and there is nudity, or there is a a depiction of rape in a
or
cutscene,
self-harm.
or self-harm, or whatever. The AO rating should not shy them away from that to where now they have to edit down their game. I am and I said this to Nick earlier today, or maybe earlier just this week, where I was like, I'm a strong proponent of the vision of the people who make the game, the TV show, or the movie being able to show what they wanted to show, and then people decide. The viewers decide if it was for shock factor or if it actually poked at something that hit people in their soul, so to speak. If it hits them, and it hits them at their core, and it shows, it leaves you breathless, and you're like, that was a fucked up scene to watch, man. Like that took it out of me. I don't even want to think about anything. Like, I'm sad. Like I hate seeing those sort of articles or things from people where like, I played Last of Us. It really made me sad. That's bullshit. Did you think it was going to be Super Mario, motherfucker? Like, no, it was a heavy-handed topic and it dealt with adult themes. And clearly you shouldn't have been playing it because you're clearly not an adult. And if you are, then shit, you have no mature understanding of how these themes work, which is how AO-rated games should work. If you're going to play a game that deals with sexual assault, rape, suicide, self-harm, mental illness, and all these other addictive things, and you can't handle it, that's your choice to make. That is something I'll always believe. A ratings board should not tell me what I can and cannot watch. If I see something that kind of looks like I might not like it, I'll start watching it. And if I don't like it, then I'll stop. That's my choice. Because you know what? I'm not going to try and play Martha is Dead and then go on Twitter and say, this game really had a lot of mental health issues with this character.
It grinded my gears.
Yeah, that's the point of the game, shithead. And that's what pisses me off. That's what pisses me when people go and say they have that instant response right here, your fucking phone, Twitter, and you go on there and you complain to people that make the game, which by the way, making a game is not easy. Not that I've ever done it, but I know it takes time. It takes time. It takes blood. It takes blood, sweat, and tears. It takes fucking your life to do some of this shit. And if you're going to sit there and you're going to play a game that somebody intended as, here's what I want it to be, and then you're going to sit there and... Yeah, a mature game, a game that's rated M, maybe should have been, like Matt said, rated O or AO, which I agree with. If it's rated AO, then it shouldn't be censored in any respect.
Which leads me to my next point in a minute.
And then if you play the game as an AO rated game, and then you go, well, I didn't like that, and you get on Twitter and you at the fucking CEO or you at one of the developers or you at the company's Twitter and you go and say, well, this game triggered me. No shit, asshole. AO. Yeah, no shit, asshole. That's why the rating's there. That's why it says at the beginning of the game, here's the problem with this. If you don't like it, then don't play it.
And that's what leads me to this. AO should not be frowned upon. Unfortunately, it is being used for a lot of
as
porn and gambling and a deterrent. What it should be is a shield for these developers to use for their adults-only game. I feel as if when the rating system was created in the 90s, it was too early for it to be created because now it's hindering games to come out and be under the umbrella of adults only, which adults only, I don't think hinders a game. I think it only strengthens some of these games with mature adult only themes.
Imagine if an AO game came out and it actually had something to say that wasn't just a porn game, right? People would look at it differently.
Martha is Dead should be an adults-only game that has a lot to obviously say. Yeah, it has a lot to say. Even with its super visceral graphic depiction of cutting a fetus out of a womb, it's not there. It may be there to shock, but there's also a purpose for that to be there.
Yes.
Hatred does not have anything to say, but it has the right to do so.
And then look what happened to it, right?
As a piece of video game art. But if you give it the AO rating, it should be able to do that without any fault of its own.
And like I said, let people dictate.
Wow, well, this is a good episode. This turned into a good
I actually, Nick, you brought up an extra. You sort of skimmed the surface of what I was going to say, which was the AO rating. You said was created in like what, the early '90s or something like
that.
So essentially,
the first AO rated game was like 1993. Yeah.
Okay, so early '90s at the very dawn of the internet age, right?
93. Yep.
This is all of these rating systems are based upon the early to no internet era, right? Everything because of the internet has escalated 1,000 times fold, right? What was, don't get me wrong, porn was available on the internet since the fucking origin of the internet, right? But never has it been what it is today, right? It's been what, 30 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can literally, there's millions of porn websites. You can find fucking porn games on your web browser on the same places that
phone.
kids play the same fucking web browser games. Same area, just behind a little, oh, are you 18? Oh, yeah, I'm 18. Right? These rating systems are outdated.
Yes.
They have not been up to date with the new world, with the realities that we now face.
And how we perceive it.
Right. Make the AO, first of all, the idea between mature 17 plus and then adult only 18 plus makes no fucking sense, right? Especially when you take into consideration that a lot of mature porn content is in the US, there are certain places you're supposed to be 21 and over.
Also, I would like to add, in Michigan, you cannot smoke a cigarette unless you're 21. In the state of
That's
Michigan.
right. I fucking forgot about that. Yeah,
cannot-
it's 21 now.
You cannot smoke or drink in the state of Michigan unless you are 21 years old.
But you can vote. You can
Go to war.
You can join the
you can
army.
go to war. You could, yeah, exactly. You can vote. You can serve your country, and you can watch porn. But you can't smoke. You can't drink, and apparently,
and you can't smoke weed.
Yeah, makes no fucking sense. Some of these ratings and the age limits, and I definitely think that
So-
if you stop shying away from adult only games, you change it from an AO
Normalize it.
18 plus, right? If you change it from an 18 plus to a 21 plus, right? Take all of those mature fucking Steam porn games, whether fully nude or not type of deal, all of that. If it's a porn game, it's fucking clumped into adult only. You have games like
Create a category
Grand
for
Theft Auto,
Exactly,
you
thank
have
you.
games like Cyberpunk, you have Scum, things with violence or extreme violence, nudity, drug use, things like that. All of those games now get clumped into AO 21
But
plus.
don't demonize it, though, at the same time.
Right, exactly. Make it a normal thing. Don't shy away from it, and then you have just so many more options to work with. And then on top, and
You
then
can go as far as you want as well, to a degree.
to a
Well,
degree, yeah.
to a
I still,
degree.
I don't want to fucking.
I still
rape
don't
game.
disagree.
Like,
Right, I
that's-
don't disagree.
want that, but
I disagree with the idea of censorship, but again, there is still that idea of shock
There's a
value
line.
for shock value. Like you
Here's-
said,
okay,
I don't want
do
a
have-
game where you are interacting to rape a woman.
okay, but here's
That's
my point
horrible.
on that as well. I don't want to do that, but if, let's say, in a game we are playing, that is happening. That is happening. There is a rape happening, and your character is forced to see it. I don't think it is shocking. It is traumatizing. But if it's there for a reason,
Yes.
it has to be in context. If it is like, hey, by the way, you now rape somebody, that is bullshit. It's bogus. There's no reason. But if
you're playing like a child or a teenager and you're watching your father, like in game you're watching your father, rape your mother, and it shows, and then it flashes forward 20 years, and that you've been shaped by that experience, and that's the game, or like that's what it's trying to tell you. That's one thing, right? To go on with this, a part of what says in the list of AO rated games, the reason why for this is that the ESRB has it. But here's why you don't see many of them. I mean, the last one you saw was 2018's Agony.
Stores and shit.
Only 27 games have been given the AO rating and released with it. Self-imposed restrictions by publishers and distributors limit the availability. The rating has been described as a kiss of death by journalists and is essentially a ban. All three major video game console manufacturers, so that's Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, prohibit AO rated games from being published on their platforms. Most retailers refuse to stock them, and Twitch forbids streaming them. So then that's the point where I want to say to the ESRB, why do you have this shit? Because it can't be anywhere other than Steam, but Steam doesn't give ratings of their games either. Like, or if they do, it's not like you see it when you click on the image of the game. You don't see it anywhere you just see, like, if I look up Nekapara Volume 2, it doesn't say AO, but I know that there's cat girls that are showing their butthole on it. So that would probably be an AO rated game. But it doesn't show that.
100%.
It doesn't say AO or M or T or E plus or E10 or E or whatever. It doesn't say anything. It just says, hey, here's a cat girl porn game. You want to buy it? It's $10. And it's like,
right.
Well, now I'm enticed.
They're
like,
go
ahead.
The rating system needs to be updated for the modern age. It needs to be undemonized to the point where like you can have AO rating games in stores to be sold. I published on these
Put it
platforms,
in a
right?
separate section, right? Like put it in a separate
Yeah.
room. Put it.
There. I
Like
mean,
you can do these things. It's not like
hell, I
you have to
remember, I
hide them.
remember, I remember going to the video store, right? Like when Family Video and Blockbuster was still around. You had all of the normal stuff that you would expect. You even had video game sections, and then there was just a little back room that had all
with
the
the
porn
curtain,
stuff.
with the curtain.
Yeah, with the curtain and everything
Yeah,
like
I
that.
got
You'd
caught
run it,
back
you'd
there a
sneak
couple
away.
times.
Yeah, you'd sneak away from your mom,
There you
and you'd
go.
go and you'd sneak back and be like, "Oh, look at the boobies. Okay, we
Backdoor
gotta
sluts
go."
9. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
am
yeah,
so
like
interested right now.
literally go back to that sort of system, right? Of like, hey, we have adult only content. It is in this section. You can't be in there if you're not of age to be looking
Right.
at that content,
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, I feel like you should you should have like a visual indicator of like, hey, this is an AO game, 21 plus. Here are the reasons why, and then on the back you can have a more descriptive version of like on the front it'll be like strong violence, strong language, drug use, and sexual content. And then on the back it can go in a little more depth of like contains scenes of
This, and this.
heroin use, contains scenes of
Yeah.
severe alcoholism, mental illness, self-harm, things like that, to where you can look on the front of it and go, okay, these are the things that
Now
are
I
in
know.
there. And then you can look on the back if you're more interested for a little more detail and go, okay, now I understand. And then
Right.
we're sort of set, like
You've gotten it right. Yeah. You
don't
understand. Like
don't
that's I
don't
know.
don't what is it? Don't censor
Censor
these games to the point where they can't do what they want to do,
exists.
but at the same time it still has to follow moral law, right? Not law, but like your moral law, like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter whether you can do it. There are still some things that should not be done that as much as I dislike censorship, there
Should
are
be
things
done.
that I will stand to the fucking ground and go, this needs to be censored. This should not be allowed. And I'm not going to say things, but
Yeah,
involves
I get.
children, things like that. Right. Like, can't do that shit. Whether, like morally, don't do that. Bad.
If you're
Very
going to
bad.
if you're going to involve that sort of behavior, like yeah, there's some sort of like molesting involved in a game, it should only be alluded to. It should never be graphically shown.
Right.
Like and then that brings the thing too is that okay, so let's just say that E10 plus or whatever, teen, rated M, that's all like they have all their very clear guidelines. And then AO is a wild west. It can be porn
Yep.
games, it can be gambling, it can be people, and then we can even go further. We could say, or like I'll go further and I'll say like AO can be anything from it's alluding to visually showing whatever they want to show. But then guess what happens? It's put on that AO rating, and then people decide what they're okay with. So if there are two games that come out that show an illusion to somebody being molested, and that's your main character and you're playing them as a grown-up or something like that, and that game gets a whole lot of, or not hype I would say, but it gets a whole lot of good reviews and people are like, this is a really good character study, or this is a very interesting topic and it's shown very well and it's not offensive in a way that should really go crazy, then there you go, that game's good. And then another game comes out that's similar to it, but instead it visually shows somebody being molested, and then that game fails. That's the market working.
Correct.
That's people
Right,
going and
'cause
saying, we don't like this because it's visual and we don't like seeing shit like
it's
that. But
it's
we like this
morally
because
corrupt.
it deals with the same topic, but in a way that is mature and deserving of the rating that it has. This
And it
game is trash
respects the
because
topic.
it respects the
Yes.
topic at hand. Whereas this just shows it because some developer is like, haha, I can show it. And it's clearly shown, because that's what happens, right? If you're a developer or a creator of something and you create something that you think is showing a truth or showing something that you want people to see, and then people see it and they go and say, well, I don't really agree because you know what, it's pretty vulgar, it's pretty graphic, it's pretty visual, and it doesn't really hit me, it just kind of shocks me, and it doesn't make me feel anything other than like, this is disgusting, and I feel nothing more other than that. I don't want to see it anymore.
I feel like
I don't feel
shit.
any sort of, I don't feel any investment in it. I
Yeah.
don't feel any emotional impact. I just go, this is fucking gross.
Yeah.
That's the people working. That's the system working.
Right.
That's people saying
And
this isn't good, but this is because it's adult and it's like you said, it respects the topic,
Well,
and
it
that's
respects
important.
the player as well.
Well, respects, yeah, exactly, 100%.
especially if you give it a 21 plus rating instead of an 18 plus, because there's
A
no
year
difference between a
difference.
17-year-old and an 18-year-old. They're the same person.
I tell you what, right?
Yeah,
When I
there's
was
nothing different other
21,
than the legality, right?
when I was 21, I was able to have a pistol, and I did have a pistol. I had a pistol way prior, whatever. But I was
you don't need to
legally
admit to
Dox yourself.
felonies. You don't need to
Dox
admit
yourself,
it.
why don't you?
whatever. I was legally allowed to own a pistol at 21, and I had one.
Yes.
Was I mature enough for a pistol? No. Was I mature enough at 18 to understand how serious? And this is gonna sound fucked up, but an 18-year-old is not, in my opinion, mature enough to really understand the depth
What you're holding.
and how serious something like rape, molestation, mutilation of a body,
Yeah.
murder, anything like that. They're not there enough to understand. I'm not trying
They're
to
still
to our younger
maturing.
audience. I'm not trying to demean you, but I didn't understand these topics until I was in my late 20s.
Right. We were fucking shithead kids at 18, 19
would laugh.
cracking
I would
jokes
laugh.
about this stuff. Yeah, we would make jokes about it. Now we see something like that and we go, that is horrific. That is
Uncool, but I understand.
ungodly horrible. Right.
So
You bringing up the gun thing is, I was going to make this point earlier and I decided against it, but now
No,
you brought it up, so I'm going to
I
do
wasn't mature
It-
enough.
Yeah, in terms of like censorship, I would like to use the Second Amendment here in the United States as sort of like an analogy, right?
Doc
I
Longy
think
and
that-
Eric are gonna crack up about this.
Yeah. So I am 100% for the Second Amendment. I think that everyone deserves the right to own a gun at a certain age
You
if
have
they
bear
want to.
arms.
Right. Everyone has
You
that
glossed
right,
over
and
that joke.
oh yeah, bear arms. All right.
Bear arms. Dad joke. I'm a dad.
Whether or not I agree that everyone has that right and that should not be infringed upon, does that mean that every 18-year-old should be an owner of a firearm?
Absolutely
No.
the fuck not. At
No.
21, I shouldn't have
Right.
had a firearm.
At 21, no. Right. Honestly,
handle one.
today's age,
Ooh.
I consider you an adult when you're 25, right? As soon as you're off your parents' health insurance and car insurance, that's when you're an adult, right? 18
Sure.
shouldn't be the age of an adult anymore. It shouldn't be. 25, when your brain and body fully mature, that should be the age of an adult.
Sure.
But regardless, just like with censorship, everyone should have the right to partake in it. That doesn't mean that everyone should be forced to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense, if I brought that up correctly.
I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
Now,
I keep going. Sorry.
I know. Okay, I know that this conversation is kind of winding down. I think that we've all kind of reached an understanding of like a solution
Don't tell me what I
to
understand.
this problem. Shut the fuck up. I think it's safe to say that we've all kind of come to our conjoined conclusion of what we think the solution is, which is to implore more adult-only games, maybe raise the rating from 18 plus to 21 plus type of deal.
Yeah.
And then, don't force the censorship, but even just allow anyone can make a game like Martha is Dead, right? But still, it can be up to certain publishers, certain consoles, and things like that, countries, whatever, who, even though it's an adult-only game, they can still say, hey, we want you to add in features to where you can remove that, right? For our country or our area, we want you to remove these certain options. That is on a case-by-case scenario, depending on the culture there. But
Let like Microsoft, PlayStation, like Sony, Nintendo, let them all say, well, we don't want to have AO rated games on our
the
consoles.
players also decide though too.
That's what I was gonna say. Let them say we don't want that, and then have an AO rated game come out on Steam that is riveting. It deals with complex topics, mature themes, but it's got a great story. It's got good gameplay. It's got, great dialogue. Like, it's a knockout, out of the park, because it's able to have that AO rating, and it's able to deal with these complex themes without it becoming necessarily so much of a shock value or shocker for shock's sake kind of game. And then the players will dictate that, and they'll say, well, I want to play that on my Xbox, or I want to play that on my PlayStation, but I can't because they don't allow it. And then
Right.
what? That's the thing too, is like Microsoft is like, we don't want to allow those games. But if you allow those games, is everybody going to buy them? No. The people who want to buy them will buy them. And they can't criticize. And then again, they cannot criticize, Microsoft for allowing it, because you bought it. That's the problem, is that people are so comfortable nowadays with buying a game that they know could potentially upset them. And then when it does upset them, instead of saying, well, that's my fault for buying the game, they go, it's the developer's fault for having this thing that would trigger me or upset me.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, did you read the description of the game? Like, pretty clear that could have happened and it could have upset you. It's your own fault for buying it. If you thought it would upset you, then you shouldn't have bought it. And if you thought it would upset you, but you still wanted to buy it, you can't bitch at us for having something that would upset you, because you know what? They weren't making the game for you. They were making the game for themselves. And that's what people don't understand. The Last of Us was not made to appeal to me. It was not made to appeal to Nick. It was not made to appeal to whatever asshole thought that it was bad that Ellie was gay. It was not made to appeal to shitheads like that. It was made to appeal, and it was made for the people that wanted to make the game. And in their vision, in their direction, they said that Ellie is gay. They said that Dina is gay. They said that they could have a trans person in the game. And you know what? If you don't like that, that's not their fucking problem. It's yours. Because you're an asshole and you're a piece of shit, and that's all there is to it.
Return the game, whatever.
Yeah, you don't like it, return it. But you know what? You don't get to give shit to Naughty Dog because they made a vision that doesn't appeal with your worldview. If you have a worldview where these people aren't people to you, maybe you're the asshole. Maybe it's not them. You know what? Like, if I deal with an asshole in the morning, they're an asshole. But if I deal with assholes all day, maybe I'm the asshole. You ever think about that?
Yeah, I know.
So if you deal with shitheads all day, maybe you're the shithead.
No, it doesn't work like that.
No, they don't.
People, man.
So
we're about to wrap up, by the way.
Yes, but at the end of us wrapping up, I was looking over some lists of games that were banned / censored, and now this is on Wikipedia, so like bear with me here. And obviously, this is all none of this is. I have not fact checked any of this. Right? This is just Wikipedia saying Wikipedia shit. This could be whatever, but there was two weird things that I saw. So in India, Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas are banned due to, yes, they're not officially banned, but Microsoft India refused to release it for the Xbox 360 because it depicts two-headed cows, which cows and beef are
they're sacred. Yep. Okay.
Right. So additionally, PUBG Mobile in India is banned because of extreme violence, as well as players have actually been prosecuted for playing PUBG Mobile.
Prosecuted?
Weird. Prosecuted. Additionally,
doesn't say why? Okay.
Additionally, and this is why my name is this in the Zencaster, because I wanted a little reminder, so that way I made sure to bring this up.
All right,
Afghanistan. This is the only other one I'm gonna bring up, because most of them make sense. You have places like Australia and Germany who have a lot of banned games. They're very they can be very strict when it comes to their censorship and what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Like Germany bans the Wolfenstein games.
Yep.
Germany bans a fuck ton of games for excessive violence, like a fuck ton.
Yep.
But no, so Afghanistan, during the first reign of the Islamic Emirate government, probably pronounced Emirate.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're close. Yeah,
government. So 1996 to 2001, Western technology and art was prohibited, and this included all video games. So 1996, 2001, everything was banned.
That's Halo. That's
Half-Life.
in Afghanistan. Now, between 2001 and 2021, this is the weird one. No video games were officially banned in Afghanistan except for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The non-mobile version. That is the only game that has been banned in Afghanistan since 2001, and there is no explanation for it. There is no explanation. Hold on. Sparks a moral panic. I'm trying to pull up the article right now.
A moral
panic in Afghanistan. Regular has been banned. The online shoot 'em up game for corrupting the youth. And that is the only game in Afghanistan that is banned as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
But Modern Warfare, Modern
Warfare, Call of
3,
Duty,
Black
Battlefield,
Ops 2, Black Ops 3.
Wolfenstein, Grand Theft Auto, Cyberpunk, all of these sandbox games that you can do whatever the fuck you want.
They don't corrupt the youth.
Really fucked up stuff. Yeah, no, PUBG, the one where it's like, hey, it was the first and kind of biggest battle royale for quite a while there. Fuck that game.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
I said, I thought that was weird. I looked it up and like I saw that was banned in Afghanistan, and I'm like, that's really weird. And then I noticed that only the mobile version was banned in India, and I'm like, that's also really fucking weird.
Yeah, that's definitely questionable. But we've had quite a talk here, guys.
This was actually a really good conversation.
Interesting. It was
a little longer than normal.
I think that we all expected.
We also went a little too far with our bullshitting at the beginning. I didn't realize that went on for like 20 minutes. This would have been
2 hours regardless.
Yeah, this was actually a really
a
really good conversation.
I think so.
I love these types of episodes, man. Like I love really chatting with you guys because we all come from different aspects of gaming. Different fucking generations almost too.
Yeah.
You know, Evan, you're 21, 22.
Thanks.
I'm 30. Matt, you're 28. 29? 28.
28, almost 29. I will be 29 later this year.
Like, we're all from different parts of gaming. Like, I grew up on PC. Evan grew up on PC and console. Matt, you grew up on console, then transferred to PC. Like, it's... I had Half-Life. I had Crash Bandicoot. Like, we all had different shit, and it's really important to see where we come from as a network and a podcast who discuss topics like this. And this is not the last time we will discuss this because there's so much more
to say.
And how important it really is to discuss this topic and these topics. You know,
Absolutely.
it doesn't just stop at sexuality and violence.
No.
It goes into gambling, and there's so much more. So, but we will end it there tonight with another YouTube video, which we are 4 YouTube videos deep now, if not 5. I don't know. We're having a blast. Brody really pushed us from the Diggity podcast, really pushed us into like, hey, you guys need to do this. We're doing it.
He did.
Spawn Camp is really full steam right now with the website, with Build Bros, with Diggity, with WASD, with the rebranding of OBO. There's a lot going on that we think you guys are going to love. If you guys liked what you heard tonight, please consider reviewing us on Spotify and Apple Music. Consider showing us to your friends. Check out the entire network. Again, Build Bros, Diggity Podcast, us, and OBO. Find us on the spawncamp.co website. Find us on all our Twitter handles, our Instagram handles. Check out our sponsors, like I said, Doc Longy and Final Boss.
Thanks, guys.
Just don't stop tuning in. There's a lot going on here. I know there's a lot going on, but just tune in. Check the shows out. Again, I am Nick, Devin, and Matt wants to leave off on something.
I just want to say, if you have anything that you want to bring to this conversation, please.
Oh, please.
Hit us up. Hit us up on Twitter and Instagram. We would love to hear from our audience your opinions on this.
I would love to
and get more of a collective as to where a lot of our audience and other people stand.
Absolutely.
And that way, we will have that information for when we eventually return to this subject. We'll have more viewer input.
It's a polarizing topic, man. Like,
but it's important.
It is important. And I think WASD I'm saying it now. We're gonna bring this to legislature. Let's do it.
End it. Cut it there.
No,
Cut it.
we should talk to the fucking goddamn Senate about this shit.
They're not gonna listen to us.
Hey,
guess
hey,
what?
Hey,
They can have
hey
some of
there,
this.
dude. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why you're not taking it to legislature.
Ready for this?
Evan,
Yeah.
Evan and I, with maybe
do
Jeff, will take it.
Ready for this?
Yeah, with Jeff.
You're,
Yeah.
you're,
Hell yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Stone Cold
yeah.
Easy.
There you go.
All right, guys.
What?
Thanks, guys.
I've
What?
been Nick. Evan's been Evan. Matt's been Matt. We'll see you guys next week for a hot fix and a full episode of WASD on Friday. Take it easy.
Peace out, guys.
Later, gamers.